Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Śrīmad Bhāgavatam.
I'm reading from Transcendental Diary, Sridham Mayapur. Srila just arrived at his speech. He glanced around his room. His eyes rested for a moment on an intricately carved three-dimensional wood plaque on the far wall. It depicts Shri Radha and Krishna and was a gift from an admirer in Indonesia. On the wall beside him hung a large canvas oil painting depicting the Mayapur foundational stone laying ceremony. It shows him sitting with some of his godbrothers while disciples and admirers stand around. Above and behind him, dioramas of Panchatattva perched on a shelf. In such a perfect setting, I was struck by how the simplicity and deep spirituality of his surroundings seemed to perfectly complement Srila Prabhupada's own transcendental nature. Later, giving Prabhupada his massage, I surveyed the beautiful gardens and wide open expanse of the fields from the veranda's vantage point. All around I could see rice fields in various stages of development. Hues of emerald green maturing to yellow gold. Clumps of cow, strips of vegetables, nearly ripened wheat, and small green forests dotted the distant skyline. In the clear sky, kingfishers flashed brilliant blue-green blue. Green parrots flitted here and there in pairs, and cranes stalked the flooded paddies. It was beautiful. Following the line of the road toward the Ganga and Jalangi rivers were the mats, temples established by the followers of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Their spires and domes reached to the sky, sentinels and reminders of the real progress of human life. The melodious kirtan of the Bengali devotees floated out from the temple below us, pervading the entire atmosphere. In this environment, Prabhupada is clearly more relaxed and happy than I have seen him so far, like someone who has returned home from afar. My first struck me as idyllic as I rubbed the mustard oil into his lotus feet. I suggested that it would be a fine place for Prabhupada's retirement. He mused for a moment and then replied, "Either Vrindavan or Mayapur, no other place, that is for sure." Shri Prabhupada. Krishna, 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 Hare.
Krishna, 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 Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna, Bhakti-man.
Krishna, 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 Bhakti-man.
Rama, Krishna, 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 Rakshaman.
Krishna, 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 Rakshaman.
So reading from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vidyadhara liberated and Shankachuda killed. We'll continue his story. They very devoutly began to worship the deity of Lord Shiva and Ambika. So this is Nanda Maharaj and his cowherd friends. It is the general practice that wherever there is a temple of Lord Shiva, there must be another temple of Ambika or Durga, because Ambika is the wife of Lord Shiva and is the most exalted of chaste women. She doesn't live outside the association of her husband. After reaching Ambikavan, the cowherd men of Vrindavan first bathed themselves in the river Saraswati. If one goes to any place of pilgrimage, his first duty is to take a bath and sometimes shave his head. That is the first business. After taking a bath, they worship the deities and then distributed charity in the holy places. According to the Vedic system, charity is given to the Brahmanas. It is stated in the Vedic Shastra that only the Brahmanas and sannyasis can accept charity. The cowherd men from Vrindavan gave the Brahmanas cows decorated with golden ornaments and beautiful gardens. The Brahmanas are given charity because they are not engaged in any business profession. They are supposed to be engaged in Brahminical occupations, as described in Bhagavad-gītā. Namely, they must be very learned and must perform austerities and penances. Not only must they themselves be learned, but they must also teach others. Brahmanas are not meant to be Brahmanas alone. They should create other Brahmanas also. If a man is found who agrees to become a Brahmana's disciple, he is also given the chance to become a Brahmana. The Brahmana is always engaged in the worship of Lord Krishna. Therefore, the Brahmanas are eligible to accept all kinds of charity. But if the Brahmanas receive excess charity, they are to distribute it for the service of Vishnu. In the Vedic scriptures, therefore, one is recommended to give charity to the Brahmanas. And by doing so, one pleases Lord Krishna, the demigod. So this is very important to understand the nature of charity. That charity is given to Brahmanas, not to anyone else. Kshatriya should never receive charity. A Kshatriya imposes taxes. A Vaishya earns money, produces, and a Shudra is maintained. So, people who want to be maintained, they should understand the nature of Shudra. Otherwise, if someone thinks that someone owes me something, then that is Shudra nature. Vaishya will produce, a Kshatriya will tax, will extract money by expert management. And a Brahmana will receive charity. But for a Brahmana to receive charity, although any Brahmana can ultimately receive charity, as Srila Prabhupada emphasizes here, that the Brahmanas receive charity because they actually have no demands. They live very, very simply. They have no amenities in life to maintain. And therefore, even the charity they receive to maintain their bodies is totally spiritual, because their body is only used for the service of Krishna. They're never engaged in any sense gratification. Rather, as Srila Prabhupada said, they're engaged in austerities and penances. And therefore people are inclined to give them charity, because they see their simplicity, they see their mood of renunciation, and also see their impartiality. A Brahmana is never partial to anyone. Even we see in the present chapter, or previous chapters of the 4th canto, that when Brahmana Maharaj was ruling, even the Brahmanas, they were so liberal and they were so detached that they said, let us give him a chance. They didn't become angry. Just like we have many devotees who have Brahmana initiation, second initiation. But sometimes we see so much display of anger, frustration, and different qualities which are not found in Brahmana. Sometimes a Brahman will become very angry, but only they become angry not out of anything that is directed to them, but out of the principle that is involved. Even if it's directed to them, they act on the principle and not on the fact that someone did something to me, but rather that this person is doing something that is incorrect. Therefore, it's my duty as a Brahman to correct them, sometimes even by cursing. Whereas a Vaishnava Brahman never curses, and a Vaishnava Brahman is never resentful, and a Vaishnava Brahman never holds a grudge. Otherwise, if someone holds a grudge, grudges are for Kshatriyas. No. And envy is the nature of Vaishnavas. Kshatriyas will hold a grudge. Someone does something against them. Dronacharya, although he was a Brahmana, because he was acting as a Kshatriya, he held a grudge against Drupada. And Drupada, when he was subjugated by Drona, he also held a big grudge against Drona, and was just waiting for the opportunity to get back to the guy. So this is Kshatriya. But and Shudras, they're always disturbed. Shudra nature is always disturbed. Unless they're properly taken care of, then they become happy. So we see now, because the whole world in Kali Yuga, Kalo Shudra Sambhava, everyone at best is a Shudra. Even Shudra is exalted position in Kali Yuga, because a Shudra is obedient. And even obedience is not very common in Kali Yuga. So we see that the Shudra nature, if a Shudra is not properly maintained and not happy, they become very belligerent. And they're always angry, always frustrated, always disappointed, always unhappy. So we should understand these different natures. Of course, the Vaishnava is above all these designations. Even though they may have a particular nature by birth, their objective is to transcend that nature. And although that they will use that nature in Krishna's service, but that we can't stop. But then when they become more advanced, then the Brahminical nature, the mode of goodness, becomes more prominent in their person. Although that may, especially if there's Kshatriya or Vaishya tendency, that may take some time to manifest. So anyway, these are very important observations by Srila Prabhupada, so that we understand how to act properly. And of course, as devotees, acting properly means servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord of the gopis. Now we'll go to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, 4th Canto, 18th chapter, text number 6. Purashishta Yashodhayo Brahmanaya Vishambate Bhujamana Maya Dishta Asadhyir Adritta Bhatai Purashishta Yushadhayo Brahmanaya Vishambate Bhujamana Maya Dishta Asadhyir Adritta Bhatai Purashishta Yushadhayo Brahmanaya Vishambate Bhujamana Maya Dishta Asabhir Adritta Bhatai.
sadayo
Brahmistaya Sadayo
Brahmanaya Visampate
Brahmanaya Visampate
Ujamanamaya Drishta
Ujamanamaya Drishta
Asavir Aditavratai
Asavir Aditavratai Vaishnavi
Brahmistaya Sadayo
Brahmistaya Sadayo
Brahmanaya Visampate
Brahmanaya Visampate
Ujamanamaya Drishta
Ujamanamaya Drishta
Asavir Aditavratai
Asavir Aditavratai Brahmistaya Sadayo Brahmanaya Visampate Ujamanamaya Drishta Asavir Aditavratai Brahmistaya Sadayo Brahmanaya Visampate Ujamanamaya Drishta Asavir Aditavratai Buddha in the past, Shishta created. He certainly Ushadhaya herbs and food grains. Brahmana by Lord Brahma. Ya all those which Vishampate O King Bhujamana being enjoyed Maya by me Drishta seen Asadvi by non-devotees Aditya devoid of all spiritual activity. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. My dear King, the seeds, roots, herbs, and grains which were created by Lord Brahma in the past are now being used by non-devotees who are devoid of spiritual understanding. Please repeat. My dear King, the seeds, roots, herbs, and grains which were created by Lord Brahma in the past are now being used by non-devotees who are devoid of all spiritual understanding. Purports. Lord Brahma created this material world for the use of the living entities. But it was created according to a plan that all living entities who might come into it to dominate it for sense gratification would be given directions by Lord Brahma in the Vedas in order that they might ultimately leave it and return home, back to Godhead. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Nitale Srimati Bhakti-yoga Swami Maharaj Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharya Vishesha Shrimati Paschata Vishatarine Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakti-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So, this first part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada makes a very important point. The Lord Brahma, who is the creative potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is empowered to create. So he creates all these herbs, plants, flowers, and all resources for giving facility of the living entity. As we stated the other day, Yaham sahadya puja shishta puruvacha pujapati anena prasavishyatvam eshavoshtishtakamadu. That it's created so the living entity can live peacefully through the process of yajna. The process of yajna means that we become servants, and therefore we can live peacefully. One can live very peacefully as a servant. When one wants to be the master, then one lives very agitated lifestyle, always in competition with others. Who will be the best Ishwara? Everyone's competing. Sometimes devotees compete to be the best servant, but that competition gives great pleasure and creates enthusiasm. Because the devotees are going out, who will distribute more books? Not to become proud, but to thinking, let me distribute so many books, and that will encourage other devotees to distribute books. So this is my service. Let me do whatever service I'm doing, let me do it in such a way that it will enliven and encourage other devotees to do it even better. So the mood is always a servant. Not like in the material world where there's competition. But the competition is so that I will be the supreme, I will be the best. And therefore they're always in anxiety, trying to be the best. So it says that the Lord Brahmana created all these things so that people would be able to nourish the body. And by taking Shri Krishna Prasad and all these facilities of having strength and everything should be used to create circumstances that we go back home back to Godhead, just like we just read in the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada, where he arrives in Navadvip, Mayapur, and the temple, the road, the only, especially at that time, nowadays you see so many things like hotels, but at that time, there was only just a row of temples. You see all the beautiful spires going up in the air, surrounded by coconut trees and surrounded by mango trees. Reminding that this is the purpose of human life, to chant the holy name of Krishna. So this temple also, or any temple, is a transcendental abode where everyone is reminded to come and chant the holy name in Sankirtan, coming together. Even though we may have different conceptions of one another, that's natural. Especially if we have false ego condition, then we will have the tendency to categorize everybody. This person's like this person has this many faults. Just like one time in one japa retreat, we did an exercise where we told everybody, okay, now you pick your partner. Everybody had a different partner, not somebody they knew very well. Said, now write down all of their good qualities. So we saw everybody like. Then we said, write down everybody's faults. Very quickly, very enthusiastic. So this is the nature of a conditioned soul. So naturally we will see these defects. Everyone has defects in the material world. Krishna says in Bhagavad-gītā, just like smoke, the fire is covered by smoke, every endeavor, what to speak of every person in this world, even our spiritual endeavors, because they're executed within the three modes of nature. Although they are not being governed by the three modes of nature, the presence of those modes in the atmosphere in which we are performing our sankirtan or our service is so permeated with the modes of nature that it's very difficult for the service to be done. We find so many obstacles. Of course, that is Mahamaya governing over us and making sure that we don't, that if we really want to serve Krishna, that we will keep that determination even in the most difficult circumstances. So, the point is that the real purpose of human life is to glorify Krishna. When we glorify Krishna, then when we're really glorifying Krishna, then whatever obstacle may be there, the most important thing is to come here and get the association of their lordships and the association of Vaishnavas, because real association is done in the atmosphere of Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Shmara. That we hear about Krishna, we glorify Krishna, we remember Krishna. That is the objective of Vaishnava association. And that is the nature, that is sadhu sangha, that is the nature of association. When we talk about association with Vaishnavas, it doesn't mean that we're in Maya together, but we're encouraging one another, serving one another to become more Krishna conscious. So, here it says, everything is meant to be used in sacrifice of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And therefore the earth is saying here to Lord Brahmana, now all these things that I created previously were being used by the non-devotees. It says, are now being used by non-devotees. So, therefore she is restricting. She's restricting them. Just giving them enough to barely survive. Just like we see nowadays on this planet. That there's just barely enough to survive. But the solution is, hybrid seed. Solution is GMO. Genetically modified foodstuffs. Yeah, that's how we'll solve the problem. But a devotee knows that the real solution is jagya. Then the earth, so this is what the earth is telling Prithu Maharaj, that we need to do jagya. Not that you chastise me, because I haven't done anything wrong. I'm actually performing my duty. It's my duty. That just like the duty of Mahamaya is to create circumstances so that the devotee can understand the nature of their attachments in Maya and progress spiritually. But if someone doesn't want to serve Krishna, then she chastises them, she punishes them. Because in so much difficulty, it goes with the ultimate hope that by that frustration, they will ultimately take shelter of Krishna. So this is the first point that Srila Prabhupada mentions here. However, the planet Earth, in the shape of a cow, here it submits that all these utilities are being used by non-devotees who have no plans for spiritual understanding. Therefore, why should I give them something? Just like Lord Krishna Babaji, he would say, people would come to him, but he could see they weren't sincere. They didn't want Krishna. So he would just chastise them. And at one point, Srila Prabhupada said that he would say, all these people, they're coming to me, but they're not serious. They want Maya, they want to go to hell, therefore let them go to hell. They want to go to hell? Okay. This is Mahabhagavad. Mahabhagavad sees everyone according to their own desires as the perfect situation. Whereas the Mahabhagavad who descends to the platform of preaching, they don't think this way. They think that we have to provide the facility so that they go back home back to God. Although there are immense potencies within the earth for production of grains, fruits, and flowers, this production is checked by the earth itself when it is misused by non-devotees who have no spiritual goals. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everything can be used for His satisfaction. Things should not be used for the sense gratification of the living entities. Thus, the whole plan of material nature, this is the whole plan of material nature, according to the directions of this material nature. In this verse, the words asat being and aditya vratai are very important. The word asat being, refers to the non-devotees, asat or asat. They have no interest in the absolute truth. The non-devotees have been described in Bhagavad-gītā as duskritana, miscreants, mudha, asses or rascals, narama, lowest of mankind, and mayaya parhita jnana, those who have lost their knowledge, the power of the illusory energy. All these persons are asat, non-devotees. Non-devotees are also called grihavrata, whereas the devotee is called vrittavrata. So grihavrata, Lord Maharaj said, Materna Krishna Bharato Suto Va Mito Vipadyata Grihavratanam. That the Grihavratas, so determined to enjoy this material world, can never understand Krishna, whether it be by individual endeavor, by a group endeavor, or by a combination of the two. They can never understand. Why? Adantago vir vishatam tamisram. Because their senses are being totally absorbed in maya and illusion. So they can never understand Krishna. As long as we're engaged in sense gratification, we can't understand Krishna. We can't understand Krishna's plan. As long as we're engaged in sense gratification, we will always try to modify Krishna's plan to fit into my plan. Because Krishna's plan means that I have to do something that I don't want to do. Therefore, let Krishna, why is Krishna doing this? Krishna, why don't you see who I really am and supply me with everything I want and need? This is the mentality of the Grihavrata. They think they're very great, but they're actually the most fallen. The whole Vedic plan is that the misguided, conditioned souls have to come to Krishna. The misguided, conditioned souls who have come to Lord over the material world should be trained to become Vidhavrata. This means that they should take a vow to satisfy their senses or enjoy material life only by satisfying the senses of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Of the senses of the Supreme Lord. Activities intended to satisfy the senses of the Supreme Lord Krishna are called Krishnartha Kila Chashta. This indicates that one can attempt all kinds of work, but one should do it to satisfy Krishna. This is described in the Bhagavad-gītā as Jagyarta Karma. The word Yajna indicates Lord Vishnu. We should work only for his satisfaction. In modern times, Kali Yuga, however, people have forgotten Vishnu altogether, and they conduct their activities for sense gratification. Such people will gradually become poverty-stricken, for they cannot use things which are to be enjoyed by the Lord, enjoyed for the Lord, Supreme Lord, for their own sense gratification. If they continue like this, they will ultimately be in the state of poverty, and no grains, fruits, or flowers will be produced. Indeed, it is stated in the 12th canto of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam that at the end of Kali Yuga, people will be so polluted that there will no longer be any grains, wheat, sugar cane, or milk. Now, what does that mean? That means that they have nothing to eat, so they become cannibals. They eat one another. There's no food, there's no grains, there's no animals, there's not sufficient water. Even nowadays, we're already seeing in this very, very beginning phase of Kali Yuga that the water is drying up. This is one of the biggest problems. Scientists anticipate that this will be one of the biggest problems. That fresh water is becoming less and less available, and there's more and more people. Also, especially meat production, killing the cows. This takes so much water. It takes like, I think I read it, 7 times more water than just growing vegetables. And then, on top of that, to maintain a slaughterhouse plant requires so much more water. So they're wasting the water and eating something that is not beneficial. So here, we see that the earth is submissively, but with a little bit of insistence, approaching Pitu Maharaj, because she is directly being threatened. Now, on the other occasion that we know where the earth has become distressed, she is not being threatened by the Lord, but in this case, she's being threatened by the Lord. In his Shakti Vaishavatar form of Pitu Maharaj. So she's a little challenging, she's very concerned, where the earth, which is being overburdened by demons in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the end of Dwapara Yuga, when Krishna appears, these demons, there were countless. It's stated they were countless. These were not descendants of the spiritual world, like Jai and Vijay. No, these were demons who were demons by association and demons by sinful activity. They become demons. So they're not very qualified demons. Like Hiranyakashipu, Dantavakra, they were qualified demons. They had some culture, they had knowledge. But these demons, even Kamsa himself, he has no intelligence. We can see he has no intelligence. Whereas other demons that are actually devotees of the Lord, they have intelligence. Now previously the earth was attacked by Kalameni, or the previous incarnation of Kamsa. Kalameni was very, very cruel and very mean, so much so that his sons in previous time were rejected him. And they rejected Hiranyakashipu. They went directly to Lord Brahmana and they said, we want this, we want that. So Hiranyakashipu got very angry and he cursed them. He said, because you are acting improperly against me, you will live such a miserable existence that you will be killed by your own father in the form of Kamsa. So they took birth in the womb of Devaki, and Kamsa killed him. He was forced to kill his own children because he was so cruel. That's the nature of demons. But many of these demons, by seeing Krishna, they actually become purified in Krishna Lila. So the earth at that time, she was suffering by others. So she approached the Lord through Lord Brahmana in a very submissive spirit. And she said that, the same type of condition. She approached Lord Brahmana and said, how can I produce? How can I produce when there's so many demons? Of course, those demons were eliminated. Because if those demons would have remained, or even if the yadas would have remained, stated in the Bhagavatam, that the yadas were so attached to Krishna that if Krishna would have left, and the yadas would have stayed, and that they were just too powerful for the earth, especially in Kali Yuga. Because they would have created so many huge, expanded families. And then those families would be so powerful that they would not serve the purpose of Kali Yuga, because they would be Krishna conscious, and they would also be agitated because they don't have the association of Krishna and of Kshatriyas. Just like we see so many devotees don't have Krishna's association, but they meditate more intensely on Krishna. But a Kshatriya who doesn't have Krishna's association, they become very violent, they're very, very disturbed. So, the earth, she approached Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma summoned the demigods and Lord Shiva. He invited the demigods because he was thinking the problem we have here is that the earth needs protection and the demons need to be destroyed. Two things. We need to accomplish two things. So I will bring the demigods, and Indra, with the demigods, we can present a plan that he will give protection and to Lord Krishna. And I will bring Lord Shiva, and we can present the plan that he will destroy the demons. And another reason why he brought Lord Shiva is that he's very dear to Lord Krishna, so by bringing him along, he would maybe make the appeal more possible. So when they arrived, the Lord Brahma began to pray to the Lord. But he was not allowed to come into the palace of Lord Krishna. The Lord spoke to him. He heard Lord Krishna. He could not see him. No. Sometimes we want to try to see Krishna, but even Lord Brahma could not see Krishna. And then the demigods could not see Krishna, and they could not hear also. They couldn't hear. So Brahma had to repeat 4 verses in the Bhagavatam which explain Krishna's purpose, what Krishna was trying to accomplish. So this shows how the Lord, the earth is very dear to the Lord. And the only reason that Krishna is not here, other than the form of his holy name, or in some form of Shakti Vesha is because there's so much sinful activity that Krishna doesn't want to interfere. Even the demigods won't come to this planet. Just like so many people are worshipping demigods, but it's stated that the demigods won't come. They won't come to Kali Yuga, especially to accept some inappropriate sacrifice, done with oil. Many times they don't even use ghee. Some cooking oil and some ghee wicks and some mantras, and thinking that the demigods are obliged by proper sacrifice to come. Vasyante Jagya Bhavata, it's stated in the Bhagavatam. But they are obliged to come. When there is proper sacrifice. But Krishna is never obliged. But he comes. He comes. Now Krishna, when Lord Brahma approached him, Lord Krishna immediately said, Krishna knows. Krishna has instructed me. He already knows. And I also know. I know everything. I'm in your heart. I know everything perfectly. But Krishna already knows, and he has a plan. Now, he's going to come. But he's not coming for this purpose. He's not coming for this purpose. He's actually coming because otherwise he could have empowered, he could have accepted Lord Brahma's plan. Yes, Indra will go with the demigods and he will clear the earth of all these unwanted elements, and Lord Shiva would annihilate the demons. But no. Krishna wanted to come because his devotees, he wanted to teach the whole world what is the nature of pure devotional service. For 3 yugas had passed. And in those 3 yugas, no one could understand the sweetness of Krishna. Maybe a few devotees here and there. But practically no one could understand the sweetness of Krishna's pastime. And therefore Krishna wanted to come and wanted to demonstrate that what is the nature, what is his true nature, what is the look of Vrindavan, what is the highest goal. That is not very easy to understand. No. And just as Lord Brahma could not see Krishna, no one could see Krishna. Only a few people, Srila Prabhupada said, only a few hundred people could really see and understand Krishna when he came. Otherwise, other people saw, maybe they saw another form of the Lord. but they didn't really see Krishna and his sweetness. Only his eternal associates who came with him and those who were joining his pastimes, they actually had the vision of Krishna in Vrindavan playing his flute, doing so many wonderful, performing so many wonderful pastimes. So those persons are mentioned here by Srila Prabhupada as Dhutta, very determined. Because they are very determined to serve Krishna, they get the opportunity to see Krishna. Just like Shri Radha Gopinath is here. We have the opportunity to see them if we have great determination. But if we don't have great determination to see them at all costs, then we'll find there's so many reasons not to come to the temple. So many reasons not to worship the Lord. Just like the Lord is so merciful in his deity form that he allows us, although our background is Mlecha and Yavana and Swapacha, and even worse than Swapacha, Galpracha, Kavi. So, but he still gives us the opportunity. But if we don't have Dhutta Brata, if we are Adrita Brata, as it says here, Adrita Brata, if we are Asadvi, Srila Prabhupada says Asadvi, non-devotees. If we are non-devotees, or we are aspiring devotees but with non-devotee habits, then we won't be attracted to come in and take advantage of this offer of Krishna. You come and personally serve me. What is the difference of serving Radha Gopinath and Gornitai here and serving them in the spiritual world? There is no difference. But there is a difference at the same time. The difference is that if my mind is not concentrated on Krishna, I will not see him properly. I will not serve him properly. I will not give him proper respect because my mind is distracted by so many material things and so many material considerations. So I won't see the deity. I'll be going through something mechanically. I'll be thinking of some artistic activity. This is some artistic activity. But I won't be entering into the mood, into the sweet pastime of actually dressing the Lord. But if we take advantage of it, we can actually dress him and he will reciprocate. He will give us such great happiness in the heart. How can we know if we're serving the deity properly? Because we will have so much happiness in our heart that our material desires will go away. How do we know if we're chanting the holy name properly? Because the holy name will immediately penetrate the heart and purify it. And then I won't have any desire to enjoy this world. If I'm actually chanting properly, I won't have any desire to enjoy this world. So this is the nature of devotional service. So then this is the gauge, this is the way we can measure the quality of our devotional service. If we're feeling the symptoms of Bhava Bhakti developing in our heart, what are those symptoms? Virakti, we're detached. Manashunyata, we're free from false ego. We're always wanting to respect others and serve others. Namagana Sada Ruchi, we're always feeling more and more taste in the holy name. We want to chant more. We don't want to chant less. We don't want to stop at 16 rounds. The holy name is so wonderful. I want to chant unlimitedly. These are signs. Saktish, great attachment to the Lord, so much so that I only want to be with the Lord in the form of His holy name, in the form of His deity, in His associating with His devotees. These are all symptoms that I'm advancing in devotional service. And if we don't feel these things happening to some degree in our heart, if we have more material desires, if we, as I mentioned yesterday, if we're not very anxious to offer obeisances to all the devotees, and all the living entities. Then we can understand I'm not very advanced. So we have to work on becoming more qualified in our devotional service. So, the earth planet, as Srila Prabhupada said, and we can see practically, that the earth planet right now is not producing. It's not producing proper grains. And therefore, people have to use all these technologies to try to produce. But these grains are not imbued with the potency of the earth. Therefore, they will not have the same effect. They will not give nutrition. They will not give strength. Because what does Krishna say in Bhagavad-gītā? I am the healing herb. Otherwise, an herb cannot heal without the presence of Krishna. Also, the grains cannot nourish us without the presence of Krishna. And real nourishment means that the soul is awakened and its original activity is serving Krishna. So if these things are not happening, otherwise, if foodstuffs are not grown to be offered to Krishna, then the earth will gradually, and we see that, deserts, there's more and more deserts everywhere. The external reason is people are cutting down the trees, people are they cut down the trees and then they use that land for grazing cattle so that they can be slaughtered. So that the place just turns into a desert. Because of the sinful way they're using it. Simply, gradually turns into a desert. So all these things, we can try to analyze it. There are so many nice people who try to analyze it through systems of ecology, saving the earth, etc. But the real way to see everything in one effort is to be Krishna conscious. Then we respect the earth, we respect the living entities, we will be able to produce so many things, to induce the earth to produce so many wonderful things for the sustenance of all living entities. And if the devotees are giving out prasadam, then the earth will produce more. But if materialistic persons are taking even the grains which are meant to be distributed and trying to make huge profits, raising the prices constantly, make huge profits,